It's time for our open studio segment, and we've got a special guest in here. We'll meet him shortly. But before we do, we have lots of museums in Busan, but if you visit Gimhae, you definitely should go check out Gimhae National Museum. Since opening in July 1998, Gimhae National Museum has been dedicated to the preservation and exhibition of the cultural heritage of the Gaya Confederacy, a collection of ancient territories which existed in southern Korea from around 40 AD to 530 AD. So today we have an important person, very important person from the National Museum right here in the studio. This is the commentator of foreign language at the museum. This is Lee Min-hyung. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for hosting me. It's your wonderful introduction.
Oh, well, I gave you a short introduction, but could you please introduce yourself to the listeners of Inside Out Busan?
Yes. Hello, Befm listeners in Busan and other areas. I am really appreciating to be here to give some information and some talks about Gimhae National Museum. I am Lee Min-hyung as a public servant, explaining exhibition for domestic and foreign people who come to our museum to see artifacts and remains of Gaya kingdoms.
So basically, if you go visit this kingdom, they might be able to meet you. You'll be able to explain certain things to them, right?
Yes, right.
All right, great. So if our listeners, if they're probably curious about Gimhae National Museum, what exactly is there? So could you tell us a little bit more about Gimhae National Museum?
Yes. With the ancient Korean history of Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, and plus the Gaya is also being included in ancient society.
Right.
It's very unique story. Gaya kingdoms, which launched alongside with the Nakdong River, those are composed of 6 countries. And some historians say there were over 10 countries at the time.
Wow, right in this area. I mean, we got just Korea now, but at the Nakdong River, a great place to kind of...
Whole Gyeongsang province, north and south.
10 different countries. Amazing.
Yes. As the center of kingdoms, the Gaya, founded by King Kim Suro in the year AD 42, it was developed as ancient society. But after all, defeated by Goguryeo in AD 400.
Yes.
That is a good event for our the Gaya history. But after all, Gaya was conquered by Silla, King Bopongwang in 532. Declined after that event, the largest Gaya, called Daegaya, the capital was located in Goryeo, Gyeongbuk province, had improved it, the leading and the strongest kingdom as the center of 6 kingdoms.
Korean history, it's amazing because it's so long. Of course, our listeners know I come from Canada, and our history, or our written history that we know about, it's so short. I mean, only, 150 years, 200 years. So whenever I hear about these long stories, there was the Gaya kingdom, and then there's the Silla kingdom, and then there's 6 countries, 8 countries. Daegaya is really amazing to learn so much. And at the museum, I'm sure our listeners, if they go there, they check it out, they can learn a lot more. So I wanted to ask you, sir, what does the museum specialize in?
Yes, the ancient society is described as 3 kingdoms, but the Gaya heritage is now actively excavated and researched, so that our museum has done a central role for those activities. Widely known as Iron Kingdom, the forgotten nation, but now many real artifacts are shown and historical materials and documents are disclosed. Our museum has a symbol of iron, and the outside museum building is decorated of iron plates. So it's beautiful. The surrounding wall also looks like charcoal bricks, which is a material for melting the raw iron. So this design is very unique and only one in the 13 national museums, so that many visitors and photographers are coming to our museum to have pictures.
Well, it sounds like a great place to go. And as you mentioned, there's 13 national museums in Korea, but we don't really have any here in Busan. Gimhae, if you want to go to a national museum, really that top level museum, heading out to Gimhae is the closest from where we are here in Busan. So definitely I urge everybody, if you're interested in history or, you know, bring the kids along, teach them something about the past, teach them something and head out to the Gimhae National Museum. Now, what about you? Can you tell me a little bit more about your position? You are, I got it written down here, the commentator of foreign language. So
Yes.
what actually is your job?
Actually, I'm doing now explaining history for the people who come to our museum and introducing the Korean culture and some historical sites to see around the Gimhae city and other areas to go. We have an English and Japanese explainer, and the Chinese service will be launched in the coming year. I wish many people come to our museum and see the history and artifacts of Gaya kingdoms, which is a very unique story.
So if our listeners do go there when you have foreign visitors or Korean visitors come and visit the museum, what's the best thing to do at the museum? What's like the best memory there? What do you really urge people to go and check out?
Yes, I have met so many people since working in here, and I want to say one man who always visit our museum every year with the tour groups consist of pottery artists, tea masters, and the professors from all over the world. The man, I want to say, the leader of this tour group is a pottery and ceramic artist who is the retired professor of Wayne State University in the United States. Every year come to our museum. Even now, I keep in touch with him and share many kinds of cultural issues and supporting the tour group for travel in Korean Peninsula.
So you've got a lot of great memories from working there, definitely.
Yes.
But like any job, you know, there's always some negative things or some tough things, some hard things at any job. You know, I love Befm. I love working here, but, you know, sometimes I get a little frustrated. Sometimes I get a little bit angry. That's normal, right? So for you, what's the hardest thing about working at Gimhae National Museum?
Yeah, not many difficulties in my jobs, but some foreign visitors say they couldn't easily find the historical sites and sources of Korean history and cultures. So when I'm having these jobs, I'm trying to support those visitors to approach and help to find their destination to go. Actually, for the difference of languages, how well expressed the history for translating to the people is a main concern of my jobs. And I will try to do my best to give good service to those coming people to our museum from all over the world.
Well, you're doing a great job right now, so if you do as well as you're doing right now when people come and visit, I'm sure they'll have no problems. Now, do you have some tips for people who want to go to Gimhae Museum? Any special tips for our listeners?
Yes. People in Busan can ride the Busan Gimhae Light Rail, BGL, connecting both cities, Busan and Gimhae. Take on at the Sasang station and take off at the museum station in Gimhae. That takes only 5 minutes to museum. Riding the metro and BGL is a good way to come to our museum because to avoid the traffic jam. The bus number 123 and 1004 is also heading to the museum. Automatic spraying system are equipped in our museum, and you can ask in front of the entrance in museum. You can have the service. At this time, museum is not only showing the older story or remains, but also did some playing fields to kids and relaxing area to refresh our mind. So you can strolling the paths in the garden, and children museum is also a good is a very nice place to the kids to relax and playing some games.
Now, before I let you go home, I got a question for you. I want to know what is your favorite thing in the museum? Your favorite artifact, your favorite item? I mean, you work at the museum every day. You get to see everything. You're very knowledgeable about it. So what is something that you really like there, that's something that's really interesting for people to see?
I want to say the Gaya potteries and Gaya horse armor and iron armors. It's very beautiful and very nice to see, and maybe the essence of Gaya remains.
So you can see how they're soldiers or they're fighters back in the day. They would wear the special protective clothes and stuff like that. And I think that's really interesting. And, you know, I actually, my history, I was a history major in university, so I studied a lot about history, not really Korean history, I'm sorry, at the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada, we didn't learn about Gaia and Shilla, but I always like history, so I always really like going to museums and learning about the history of places I went. So thank you so much for coming in today and teaching us a little bit about Gimhae National Museum. And do you have any last comments for us? Anything else that you'd like to add for our listeners?
Yes. We have a special events on national holidays, Chuseok and Seollal, and the museum anniversary day in July. You can get some information on our Facebook and Gimhae National website and SMS message. Pre-admission for all exhibition and see a special exhibition in Gayanuri building 2 to 3 times in a year. Last, I want to say truly thanks to Chief Director of Befm, Inside of Busan producer Shin Mi-kyung, writer Nam Se-ah, and radio DJ Eric.
Thank you.
And many steps for this program on behalf of Gimhae National Museum. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to thank you, too, for coming in. You certainly taught us a lot, so thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
All right. For all of our listeners out there, you know, go check out the Gimhae National Museum. Go ahead and learn something. That'll be great. You'll learn a lot about Gaia, and you can check out that armor. Now, there's a lot of treasures, of course, at the museum, so that's why we're going to play this song for you. This is Treasure by Bruno Mars.